People are over-salting themselves to death. They don't realize you're killing your liver with too much salt. You ready for this? You're killing your brain with too much salt. You can't salt yourself out to that degree. Key to have sodium come from places where other trace minerals are attached. Okay, so that means if you use a good sodium, like sea salt, right, it's going to have other trace minerals. If it's a high-quality sea salt, if it wasn't stripped, it's going to have some trace minerals. If you use a good rock salt or something like black salt, it's going to have those trace minerals there, right? It's going to help. But you still can't abuse that and throw that in water. And that's what you're doing. You're just throwing that in water and sending it down. You still can go into liver shock and shut your liver down for half a day. And if somebody's really sick, you can shut it down even longer and eventually into liver failure if you don't know what you're doing. And then nobody knows what happened to you. You go to the hospital, nobody knows what happened to you. So that happens to people every day because of salt thrown in water. Killing your liver with too much salt. Too much salt, you're killing your liver. You ready for this? You're killing your brain with too much salt. Too much salt, you're killing your brain. You can't salt yourself out to that degree. You can't. Techniques like putting sodium in water and drinking that in that fashion all the time, it's not a great idea for a lot of reasons. You're salting, when you put it in water and you do it that way, you salt your organs. You can actually get a liver shutdown or a case of pancreatitis if you salt your water too heavy. Just so you know, you can put your liver in a catastrophic situation if you throw salt in your water. Yeah, because what happens is it's a main line to putting salt into your liver. You can put your liver into catastrophic shutdown. You can go into liver failure if you oversalt water and you don't have a meal around it. You don't have food to try to uptake that sodium. You can actually get a liver shutdown or a case of pancreatitis if you salt your water too heavy. Just so you know, you can put your liver in a catastrophic situation if you throw salt in your water. Yeah, because what happens is it's a main line to putting salt into your liver. It's different if you made a tomato sauce and grandma threw some salt in it. There's a big difference. And still, that's not the best thing in the world because everybody's so salted out. But the point is, when you salt water and you're somebody with chronic illness and you're just listening to some trainer out there or whatever it is, and you see him online, you see him on social, you see him on YouTube, and you see people, everybody, I wasn't doing great until I put salt in a glass of water every single day. And by the way, go to my website and you can buy my little sodium packs at the same time. Whatever it is, the point is you can put your liver into catastrophic shutdown. You can go into liver failure if you oversalt water and you don't have a meal around it. You don't have food to try to uptake that sodium. So you're somebody and you're working out, you didn't eat anything that day, you're intermittent fasting or something, you're doing anything like that, and you're sitting there and you're just throwing salt in water because somebody told you it's a great idea, and you're training in the gym, whatever it is, and you're running on your treadmill, I don't know, taking a walk, and you're just doing that. You're damaging your liver. All you hear out there is put salt in water. Add salt to water. And they'll tell you, put a good rock salt or sea salt in there. Trainers tell you, different people in the health movement tell you, they act as if it's the best thing in the world. That's what you need to do. If you're working out, you're exercising, just add salt to water. It's the worst thing you can do. Adding salt to water, just like something like this. Okay? What that does, it doesn't help your adrenals. You'll hear out there, well, it's for your adrenals. More salt for your adrenals. More salt for your adrenals. Wrong. The more salt for your adrenals, the more they dry up, they get pickled, and they shrivel up. And then here's the thing, we get addicted to our salt. It also ups the salt flavor profile, so we want more and more salt. You're adding it to your water, you're gonna add it more to your food, you're gonna eat chips every day, salty chips, you're gonna get addicted, and at the same time, you're gonna just keep on salting out your adrenals. So when you take plain water and you add salt to that plain water, you're getting a direct hit to the adrenals instantly, not to restore them, not to refurbish them, not to help them and feed them nutrients, instead, pickles them and makes them shrivel up over time. You do adrenal damage adding salt to water just like this and sending it down. Now what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to add lemon to your water, which has natural occurring sodium in here attached to other trace minerals. That's what you're supposed to do. Minus the salt, you're supposed to add lemon right to your water. That's what you do after a workout. That's how you help to restore your adrenals, flush out the toxins and poisons, Give yourself electrolytes you really need, not plain salt or not even healthy salt or healthier salts in water. That's the best way to take care of yourself when it comes down to it. But that's the problem in medicine now and health and everything else. There's always something in the way of people healing, and that's one of them. Yeast extract is a hidden sodium right there. You got to look out. MSG, natural flavor, hidden sodium. In a lot of situations, natural and organic flavoring, right? Sodium, it's another level of it. MSG, another level of it. And then it doesn't have to go on the package, so you don't see it on the package. But it's in there and you taste it and you become like a sodium demon, like it takes over you. That's like literally an addiction. Here's how the industries work. Salt something and you will be a buyer and consumer for a lifetime. What has you coming back for those chips so you stay addicted is the salt content. It makes you feel good for a minute and then makes you feel like you need more. Salt is really highly addictive. Along with stuff like yeast extract, natural flavors in a lot of those different chips, all different forms of sodium thrown in there, MSG and so forth. So that keeps you going. And that salt over time on that level builds up in our organs, but it also knocks your ability away, your natural ability to gravitate and consume the right kind of salt, which is what you see in my hand, things like the spinach right here. Your acclimation drops for things that you need salt from, and it raises for chips and stuff like that. A lot of coffee shops put salt in the water in the machines, so it becomes coffee, salt, water coffee. They don't advertise it, you don't know it, nobody knows it, but sodium is in a lot of coffees. Not in everyone, but let me tell you, a lot of them do. And there's a reason for that. They want their coffee salty. And then when you add your sugar and your milks or whatever you add, your soy, whatever it is that people like in their coffee, you add that in. And then that plus the sodium that's additionally added, you have yourself a coffee that becomes really addictive. I mean, you can go to the same coffee chain for a lifetime because of it. So not only do you have the caffeine addiction right there, but you have the sodium and the caffeine combined. Weak adrenals and sodium levels, that's a question that comes up all the time. Just because you have weak adrenals doesn't mean that you're not going to have any sodium levels. But if you're hitting your body with the quick hit, the wrong sodium, it's not going to help your adrenals. You can also cook your adrenals in salt. You can pickle them. Your adrenals need salt. Your adrenals need salt. You know, trainers out there now, health coaches out there. Dude, you can pickle your adrenals. You can dry them up like little prunes if you oversalt. And then it gets worse. Need more salt for my adrenals, but your adrenals are being pickled and they're shriveling up and dying. More salt for my adrenals. Ma'am, your adrenals aren't doing good, so you need more salt. And you're addicted to the salt, so you're misreading all the signs. And when you're sick and chronically ill, it's the Wild West. It's really bad. Yeah, you just put salt in water. That's what you need to do. Get the good salt. You know, make sure it's the rock salt or whatever, Himalayan. And you do that, and you're getting a quick hit. It only sits in your bloodstream for a certain amount of time, gets discarded, or a hunk of it gets buried and crystallizes. So what's happening to a lot of people's brains is they're getting crystallizations from salt deposits in their brains. Namely, MSG is one of them, or MSG bound to other salts. So what happens is that sodium can build up over time, harbor a nice safe haven in your brain or brainstem, and become crystallized as the years go on, and you can literally have these salt deposits in your brain that MRIs will be able to detect as years go on, and you're getting older and older, and they're just going to say, Mrs. Smith, you have Alzheimer's. Really, you got metals, salt deposits, scar tissue, and all kinds of other things growing in there. How come people have low sodium in many situations? They have low sodium because they're not getting any of the correct vital real sodium they need to be getting. From celery juices, from lemons, yes, lemons, from spinach, yes, spinach. Even cilantro has a little bit in there. They're not getting it from tomatoes. Tomatoes have a little bit of natural occurring sodium in it, which is incredible. Tomatoes. So these are things that are critical for people for their healing. That's the kind of sodium that resets everything. Even when you use these good salts, like a good Himalayan rock salt, like a good sea salt, or a good black salt, you got to be careful and use them sparingly. I'm not totally against those salts. I'm not. You can use a little bit even on medical medium dishes, but you got to be careful. You'll blow out your palate. You'll blow out your taste buds. You'll acclimate to an addiction level of acclimation. And you won't be able to live without it when you're cooking or making your food or making your raw dishes. You're going to lose your taste to other things. And you won't be able to acclimate to those other things you need. Like parsley, leafy greens are not eaten enough, and leafy herb greens are not eaten enough. They're not in people's diets. They're not there. And we need those because those contain sodium, but the right kind of sodium. And we also need those because we need to acclimate to their flavors, just like cilantro. If you're oversalting everything, you're never going to enjoy a piece of spinach. Really, truly enjoy it because that's where the sodium should come from. Same thing with celery as well, which are critical for healing. How do you actually sustain sodium? So you're not having to rely on water and salt. You have to bring enough sodium into your diet that naturally occurs in plants and herbs. That is the key right here. Getting sodium that's bonded and attached to other minerals, it stays in the bloodstream longer. And when it enters an organ, it doesn't get dumped as trash and piled in some corner. Sodium won't hold a bond when it's in sea salt, Himalayan rock salt of some kind, or pink salt. If you throw it in water, it won't hold a bond long enough inside the body. It's a quick hit. And when it won't hold the bond, then it gets stored in the liver somewhere as a deposit of garbage, stored in the brain as a deposit of garbage, just like, guess what? MSG. Same thing. Stores and becomes garbage, trash salt, even if it was a great salt. If you throw it in water, that happens. It's also addicting, so it makes you feel good for a minute and then makes you feel like you need more. Salt is really highly addictive. Spinach leaves, spinach, the plant, the stems, have also sodium in there as well. Now the sodium in spinach is bound. Well, the difference is it's bound to other minerals. They won't separate. So what happens is when you take a rock salt, Himalayan rock salt, when you take a sea salt and you take black salt's a little different. I like it better in many ways. If you take the Himalayan salt and the sea salt and you throw it in water, the trace minerals don't stay bound. They separate and they lose their viscosity. So this is important to know. When you have sodium coming out of spinach, it's one of the reasons it's so healing. When you have sodium out of spinach in your diet, in your bloodstream, it stays bonded to certain trace minerals, which makes that sodium last longer in your system and not a flash in the pan and then boom, it's in your organ and that's it. So here's the key right here, big one right here. When you're doing sodium in the water, like a good salt that I talked about, rock salt, sea salt, it's a flash in the pan in your bloodstream. It's like treating something with medications conventionally. That's what it is.